Okay, so we got our new computer. Let's start with the settings menu, as it's one of the essential things when making the change. So one way to get to settings is to click the Windows button on the bottom left corner of your desktop, and you get this little window icons. Now we have this little settings gear right here. This is one way to get to settings. If you forget that, you could just scroll down to the S's and choose settings there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pick settings. Now, we can go ahead and start with our system. Now, our system is going to give us the opportunity to change the size of our display. So if the text is too small or students can't see on the back, I can go ahead and change this based on what best fits my needs and my students' needs. And then you can see here, as far as some of the other options are, I will focus a little bit on power and sleep. This is pretty important with battery life and maintaining your device. So decide about what time frame you'd like your computer to totally go to sleep, or when you would like the screen to turn off. Okay, now going down the line here, we have multitasking. Now this is a newer one for most of us. And what multitasking is, it has some of these new features, and one of them is called Snap. It's underneath this Snap thing right here. And Snap allows us to take two windows and split screen them so you can access both windows at the same time. Whether you're doing an IEP or lesson plans, it can be pretty handy. And then, you can go across through, you can go through some of these other ones on your own time. Next, devices. This is one you will find yourself in a lot. So obviously we have our Bluetooth here. If you want to attach a Bluetooth headset, something like that, you would go ahead and click this button here and choose the Bluetooth device you would like to connect. Next, on this left side, we have a printers. Now, what's kind of nice here is that, okay, I have secure print on here. Now I also have my home computer here. So one doesn't mess up the other. They're all viable options. Next up, I'm going to go down to the touchpad, and this is one thing that a lot of us, including myself, kind of had to tinker with. So here we can change the cursor speed. If it's moving a little too fast for you, go ahead and toggle that however you need. If you're having trouble with the trackpad because it is a little more touchy than the previous devices, and you do have to click more towards the left side of the touchpad, you can change the sensitivity from medium to low. Again, personal preference, there's no right or wrong. And then we have our gestures and all that. Lastly, the key here is the scrolling direction. Personally, I like the down motion to scroll down, but by default, when you first get this device, it's going to say down motion scrolls up. For some people, that's great, but for me personally, that drives me nuts. And so it was one of the first things I changed, and you can find that here underneath the touchpad setting. All right, moving along here, we have our pen and Windows ink. So this is where we have our stylus, and we can choose here what clicking the buttons will do. So if I want to take a screenshot of something and maybe annotate it a little bit, I can go ahead and change it to a screen sketch. So now when I click the top of my pen once, it'll take a picture of this desktop. I can go ahead and annotate as much as my heart desires there. If I want sticky notes, we can do that there. So again, just some customizable options there. Don't worry about the phone. It is not friendly in the education domain. We do have our network and internet. So as far as going home and accessing your Wi-Fi, there are two ways of doing it. We can go ahead and click on Wi-Fi like I just did, and we can see show available networks. If you don't want to go to settings, if you can follow my cursor here on the bottom right corner, just like a MacBook where they have it on the top, we have these bars, and it'll give us some of the local wireless connections that we can choose to use. And The first few times it might be a little finicky, but believe me, the HP does sort of recognize it and automatically connect over time. Again, the rest of the stuff you can kind of go through, but I'm just kind of going through the vital stuff right now. Personalization. I wasn't an elementary school teacher, so I don't like bulletin boards, and my backgrounds I have similar feelings about. But if you do want to change your background and make it nice and pretty, you can go ahead and click on background here. You can choose what type of background you're looking for and upload any photos that you would like to show up. You can also change the theme or the color scheme of your taskbar and kind of the menu settings. One thing you cannot change is this lock screen. Reason being is because if the computer is lost, it's important that the person, whoever finds it, realizes it's property of Racine Unified, and hopefully we get it back. Okay, so this is, again, there's plenty to tinker with here. I'm not going to go through every single thing, but you find what works best for you. All right, now we're going to go to apps. The only reason I'm going to apps here is because of the default apps section right here. By default, this HP wants us to use Microsoft Edge. However, the district prefers Google Chrome, as do I. And we can go to web browser then, and we're just going to go ahead and click Google Chrome. So anything on the internet, automatically we're opening Google Chrome. Does that mean we can't use Firefox? No, it doesn't. I can still go on my Windows button here, and I could hop on Firefox right now. But by default, I'm going to go with Chrome first. Again, it's just personal preferences here as far as what apps you would like to use for the different types of multimedia. All right, now this is kind of fun. We're going to go to Accounts. In Accounts, it kind of looks a little bland to start. However, bear with me for a second. Now we have some sign-in options here. So if you don't always want to type in your password because you have 1,000 things going on in your daily days in the school, we can actually add a fingerprint recognition to sign in instead of having to type in a password. And you would just place your fingerprint on the little gray square next to the Intel sticker. And once you add it once, you are good to go. You could also do facial recognition. Personally, I don't use that, but many do. And as soon as you step in front of the device, it will log you right in. It will ask you to create a PIN. Make sure you remember that PIN. It'll be 6 digits. It can be numbers and letters. Just make sure you remember it, as it is difficult to recover. All right. So those are kind of the key things we got here with settings. And again, if you're ever confused or you're not quite sure where to go, this little circle here, you might have a search bar next to it, is Cortana. That's the Siri of Windows. And we could just go ahead and type in System Preferences. And it'll bring us to what they think. It could bring us to the control panel. So don't hesitate to go and type in here if you want to change some settings. This is a real quick way of doing so.